Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Cracking the Cryptic. So, it's a new day. Last time I guess we did Cat's Whiskers at 223 minutes long. And today we'll do Interference from Qodec, I suppose is how you pronounce that. I did, in between the last recording and this one, watch Cracking the Cryptic's YouTube page. YouTube page video for a 500th subscriber or 500,000 subscriber special, and they played this puzzle and they probably did them all, but I stopped watching after this puzzle because there's two people on Cracking the Cryptic. There's the main guy who did this puzzle, and then there's a guy who does some puzzles, but perhaps not as it doesn't seem to be anywhere as frequently as the other guy. And I have no idea who their name is, and I've just generally been calling them Cracking the Cryptic as this fake personality of a combined two people as a YouTube channel. The point of the story, though, is that the guy who's worse at Sudoku solved this puzzle in 6 minutes. And the guy who's good at Sudoku solved this puzzle in about 12 minutes. So we're going well over an order of magnitude longer, 10 times plus over to solve these puzzles. And some of that certainly comes down to just like the solution to this cell here is very easy to get if you know the secret, as he calls it, and do the math to figure out what the number has to be because of all the killer cells here. I didn't know the secret or think of the secret when solving this puzzle, so I had to struggle and brute force it some other way to get on track. And even the other guy who solved this knows a bunch of short-handed solutions that I just would not have thought of, even if I could logically figure them out. They just have so much experience solving Sudoku puzzles and variants of Sudoku puzzles, which admittedly I think points out that either one of two things are happening here. It is either these puzzles are way too hard for your average gamer, for somebody who may be slightly new to Sudoku, somebody who's seen a few of the Cracking the Cryptic videos and thought that was interesting and want to start and try things, which is what I believe is happening. Or it's the other possibility that there is some severe lack of mental acuity in me as far as solving Sudoku puzzles goes, which I don't think that's the scenario. Because honestly, if I was 10 times worse at solving Sudoku than your average person, I probably wouldn't be able to solve any of these at all, even using the hints. So yeah, I just think this game, with its sample pack, is off the rails. I think it's targeting a niche on top of a niche in Sudoku fans. It's fan base of Cracking the Cryptic and people who want to do it. And they really just should be easier puzzles at the beginning. Many easy puzzles, 20, 30 easy puzzles at the beginning. Or if you're going to do a sampler, maybe at least 3 easy tutorial puzzles at the beginning. There really should be about 10 tutorial puzzles at minimum in the game, and the tutorial puzzles should be so easy that they should be in the free to start part of the game, if not forced upon all players unless they go and click a skip button somewhere. But then there also should be some simpler puzzles mixed in between the more difficult puzzles, and it shouldn't just be this constant difficulty ramp up and up and up and up, because that just increases tension, and generally in forms of entertainment you want a increase of tension and then some kind of release of tension, then a build up of tension again and a release. You want peaks and valleys. You don't want just a straight up escalator to more and more difficult, more and more tense experiences. You don't want a straight down escalator where things just get easier and easier as you play the game. You can probably make a decent game if you're going to make the mistake anywhere, a straight down escalator, a slide, would make the most sense. Just the game getting easier and easier at the end. Nobody's going to complain too much that the 100th Sudoku puzzle is super easy and the first Sudoku puzzle was rather hard. Although people may not get past that first Sudoku puzzle. But ideally, you want either things to be as flat as possible, which generally they don't do that. But even flat would be boring. Everything would just feel exactly the same. So you want difficulty spikes and then difficulty valleys in most games. Spike valley, spike valley, spike valley. Anyways, this is a odd killer Sudoku. It follows the classic Sudoku rules, don't they all? That 1 through 9 must be in every row, every column, and every box. The killer variant changes it, that says cells here must sum to the number here. And we've got some very big killer boxes here, adding up to 41 here, 44 here, 43 here, 43 here, 23 here with a 7 here. So we're probably starting in this box, almost certainly. And then we have an even an odd variant too here. Cells containing a square must be even. There are no squares on the field. Cells containing a circle must be odd. Okay. So, immediately on this killer Sudoku, it seems pretty obvious that what we're going to need to do is find some combinations, and it really is just going to be killer things. Let's actually do these 3 digits here. They effectively make a invisible killer box when you have the rest of it filled in like this. For every killer box like this one that is shown that says 23, there is another one here that is the 45 complement of that. So you would just subtract 23 from 45, and then that would give you 22. So a 6-digit that is going for 22 has to be this combination here. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. So no 6. So we can then add that. We can also remove the 7 since we already have the 7. And so we've already gotten it down to 5 numbers. Furthermore, if we just, we don't really have to do anything. We can just click this. We can see that 689 was the only possibility here anyways. So unfortunately, I would say that doesn't tell us quite as much information as I would like. Now, what was interesting about the live stream that I watched the first, I guess, 20 minutes of, and was much longer than that, but really only about an hour to do all the puzzles, is that the main Cracking the Cryptic YouTuber made the same complaint that I'm feeling here, and they seemingly have not done anything to really address it, in that these dotted lines here are just difficult to see. So this 11 and this 22 add together to make 32. 32 would be subtracted from 45 to be 13. 32, yeah, 13, which leaves us a lot of possibilities in this square. So let's before we do that, look and see what the possibilities are over here. And this is, I guess, one thing where the different calculators will be helpful. So it could be 489, which I'm going to try and do this as best as I can. 489 that way. Or it could be 579. And see, well, I'm just trying to color the numbers. I'm not actually trying to say that 579 can't be here. Or it could be 678. Which means no one number is guaranteed to be in this 3. So you don't really have a triplicate there. So let's look at this box then. We're going to have to consider this box, and this box. Okay, so the possibilities are in this 1, 2, 8. And is there 1 in every combination? No. Then it could also be 1, 3, 7. It could be 1, 4, 6. And it also could be 2, 3, 6. And it could be 2, 4, 5. So the only thing it can't be is a 9. Here. So we'll just mark that way. And yeah, I think if it's going to be this complicated, then it probably does just benefit me to just highlight all the numbers. It could be and in retrospect, seems like this was not the one to look at, because as far as I can tell, every single number can almost fit in every single combination. So that can't be right. And something weird's going to happen here, but that's probably from a while from now that we'll figure it out. Okay. One, 2, or 6, or 1, 3, and 5, or 2, 3, and 4. Tells me 7, 8, 9 has to be here. If we were to run the calculation here, we need 6 digits, and we are 45 minus 9, which should be 36, I guess. Which that leaves every single possibility being here. Unless there was something else about this. If there was one number included in everything, we could get some information there, and then that would eliminate some possibilities and probably get us down to the single pattern. So that's not right. So we tried this small one with a number, and that got us some information because this number was very big. And then we tried this big number with this medium-sized number. That didn't work. And because all of these are crossing boxes, we probably can determine something else before we go any further. If this is exactly 9 spots, the rule is for killers that numbers cannot be repeated inside the cage even if they cross into a different box. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's not big enough. We need one more space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not big enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not big enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not big enough. But there might be something to these that we can eliminate. At least one number as a possibility. One cannot be in this. So let's go ahead and just mark everything that is in here. Okay. Then in 43, it's simply 2 that cannot be in this. Okay. So then that means this is a 1-2 pair. Interesting. So then we're going to figure something out here, and we'll figure out something here, and we'll figure out something here, and then that will all cross to solve the center part, and then that's going to possibly solve the entirety of the puzzle somewhat quickly. At least that feels like it. I'm going to be proven wrong almost certainly on that. And that's ridiculous to have that level of hope. And I should have just marked 3 here already, but whatever. 2, 3, skipping 4. Okay. So this has got to be a 3-4 pair. Okay. And then if this one can't have a 3 and this one can't have a 2, then this is a 3-2 pair. And then if this one can't have a 1 and this one can't have a 4, this is a 1-4 pair. Alright. Which I believe now tells us we need a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4 in these 4 spaces. And because even odd rules are here, which weirdly I think I'm on the right path, and because of that I think I'm going to solve because of these 2 circles, and then the odd element is just going to be eliminated and no more use for it at all. So circles must be odd, which means this and this. Must be odd numbers. Oh, how in the world? How in the world do we get to that? Cells containing a circle must be odd. Is my logic flawed here somewhere? This is missing a 1, so 1 would have to be here, one of these two places. Wait, but no. That's not how this works at all, is it? Because the 1 can be over here. So we don't... Yeah. That was too easy. We have no idea what these numbers are. Just because this one can't have a 1, I mean, this one can't have a 2. Well, this one can have a 2. Which means, theoretically, there could be a 1 here, a 2 here, and then any numbers whatsoever here in this spot. So it will be later that we reach this. Perhaps we can just look at the two odd numbers here. These two are going to be either 5, 7, or 9. And my instinct would say 9 might be in the middle. But we can, I guess, mark these spots as being possibly 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. But that is pretty much all I can determine at the moment. So we could fill in this box, and at least that would make progress, and then we may very well run into a situation where we don't have a way of filling in these boxes. 6 here gives us a 1, 2, 3 triple. Great. That tells me this cannot be 1s, cannot be 2s, and cannot be 3s. So this gives me a 4, 5, 6 triple. So the last place I looked was where I needed to look. And then 3 digits, which would be 21 minus 45. Let's see. 10 would be 35. 20 would be this. So that should be 24. 24 plus 21, yeah. Gives us 7, 8, 9, which I don't know what I was expecting there. Of course that wouldn't have to be 7, 8, 9. I didn't need to do the calculation at all. I could have just done simple Sudoku. We know that can't be 7. That gives us an 8, 9 here, but not any guarantee that this is 8, 9. I wish there was a way to like draw a path in like a transparency to say there's going to be, when this changes, it's going to affect this, which is going to affect this, which is going to affect this. I wish I could just drag a line there as a note. Little red string sagging downward and then pulling back upward. Guess we can remove all the 7s from there, which probably doesn't change any of the possibilities, because that doesn't guarantee that there's no 7. And it's not like this row has to have a 7 in it. The 7 could be here or could be here. And we might as well make progress, even though I do think I'm about to hit just a complete speed bump in making progress. There is something we can do in that we can just mark these based on general Sudoku rules, which is really just going to be everything except for 7 in this one box. And the same is the case for this box. No 7 there. So, now what? Yeah. 7 could be in this spot, 7 could be in this spot at the moment. Nothing stops that. 7 in the 1, 3, 7 combination could be in this spot. Nothing stops that. 7 here could be in any other position other than this cell. 7 here could be in any other position other than that cell. And this 7 here, I don't think does anything to really affect where a 7 would be in this section. If we could figure out that like 3 was in this spot, then we'd have a 1-2 pair. We could eliminate several options. If there was a 3 in one of these spots, then it would eliminate I guess nothing. You'd have a 1. If the 3 was in this spot, I guess. Yeah, it would be only helpful, I think, if the 3 was in this spot or if it was in this spot. If the 3 was in this spot, the 1-2 pair would eliminate nothing there. Yeah, and this 6, 8, 9s not going to really eliminate anything unless it's an 8-9 pair that eliminates that and makes that a 7, which would be my tendency if I'm just gonna have to guess. My guess would be that this is 7. If you put the 3 in the middle, it would eliminate 3s here and eliminate 3s here, but really wouldn't do anything else. A 4, 5, 6, a 4, 5 pair, or 5, 6 pair wouldn't really do anything. Although here, we could get a 4, 5 pair, it would bring down the possibilities. Five, 7, 9 is what we've got here. I don't think there's any way to lower down the possibilities on that. Yeah. So we're 25 minutes in, and I guess I've gotten maybe a little bit faster about just marking in the entire puzzle, but I've totally hit a dead end. Like, it's either a case where you're supposed to do simple Sudoku, or more likely it's a case where you're supposed to know something, know some trick. I couldn't begin to guess what the trick is. And I guess inherently you could throw the accusation out there that that's the problem with these puzzles, these Cracking the Cryptic Sudoku puzzles in particular, is that they are heavily reliant on the pre-existing knowledge of tricks. If you don't know the tricks, you can't possibly hope to solve the puzzle. So let's hit a smart hint and see what it says. To no surprise, they cannot generate a hint. And we'd have to go into the handwritten hints very quickly. Before we do that, I guess there is something I do see here. If we have 4 digits, and this is 35, then the rest of this, the complement in these spots here, have to equal 10. Okay. Which also we could have just removed the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and hinted at that same conclusion. So it's got to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. In each of these spots. But then we know that this one can't have a 1 in it. So that's got to go. And this one can't have a 2 in it, so that's got to go. And this one can't have a 3 in it, so that's got to go. Added a 3 that shouldn't have been added there. Then this one can't have a 4 in it. Okay. So that brings us down to a triple in every number. There's 3 1s in this triple. There's 3 2s in this triple. And then there's 3 3s here, here, and here for that triple. And then there's 3 4s here, here, and here. Which inherently doesn't mean much because we could have also guessed that. And we basically did guess that. So that gets us to manageable numbers. Which I don't know what we could do past that. It's only one combination here. And nothing really stops us from being 9, 8, 7, 6. There's no real limit there. And the numbers can't repeat in a killer box anyways. So there'd be no limit there. There is probably a case where these 3 digits either need to be low digits or high digits, but also they could be just combinations of digits. Because if I need 7, 8, 9 to be here, then 7, 8, 9 wouldn't be here. It'd be over here. But if I had 2, 3, 4 here, and then I couldn't do 2, 3, 4 here. So then it would be like 1, 6, 7, 8 or something like that. It seems like you could kind of go around in circles, but I'm not sure that that actually tells us anything, because I think it could be either direction. This could be 2, 3, 4, or this could be 7, 8, 9. It would be more problematic, I guess, if it was 3, 4, 5, since a 2 can't be here. And I wonder if there isn't just a trick that this extra spot here is uniquely some digit. Let's see what the first hint is. See where we should be thinking. The 4 8-cell cage is missing exactly one digit from 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 8-cell cages. What 8-cell cages are they talking about? There's 6 cells here. There's 5 cells here. These are the 8 cells here. Yeah. So that's 8 cells. This is 8 cells. This is 8 cells. This is 8 cells. It just spins around. They're missing exactly one digit from each from 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Which is probably going to create this odd parity where 9's going to be over here, and then the low digits are going to be here, and then 9's going to be here. But can we just guess something like that? That one of these would be 9, one of these would be 1. Are these 1-9 pairs? Possibly. Or could a 9 be over here and a 1 be over here? So we figured out hint 1, but I don't see where that takes us to the next step. I misinterpreted that and thought that this would be a 1-2 pair. Or a 3-4 pair. But I don't think that's the case. Alright, so it's saying row 4, column 5, must be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and needs to appear in all 4 large cages. In the 41 cage, this one, it can only go into 1, 2, 3 in column 4. So they're saying this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Three. It must now also be in row 5, column 9. I'm not following completely here, but let's try it. Let's think this through. It's saying that this here must be 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. And then because of this, if this is 5, then 5 is not here, 5 is not here. And for some reason they're saying that this number 5 has to appear in each of the cages, which I suppose that's true. Then it's saying in the 41 cage, a 5. Oh, okay, I see. If this is 5, this eliminates 5 from this, that means 5 has to be here. Let's do some coloring to make this work out. Whatever this is has to match into that, and cannot match. We don't have the 1, 9 and the X's in here, otherwise I'd kind of like to use the X button. Let's see. There's the X button. Okay. That also means those can't be whatever this is. And we're saying 5, but it might also be 6, it might also be 7, it might also be 8, might also be 9. Which then, if the only possibility is that whatever this is, if it's a 5, makes one of these a 5, then one of these is not a 5, which means that has to be a 5. Let's then apply the same logic to this. So if this was a 5, it would eliminate all of those possibilities. And illuminate or include those possibilities, which then would eliminate all those possibilities and eliminate those possibilities, which then makes it have to be that. You should not be colored green. And I guess I'll just leave the X's here. And probably just for consistency's sake, let's also just put the X's here. So we have full lines. So whatever these two are, and we know these two can't be the same thing, that is that. But each of these combinations are missing low digits below 5. This one missing a 4, this one is missing a 1, this is missing a 2, this is missing a 3. So I think it's just as valid that this could be 9 and this could be 8 as it could be any other number. Maybe one bit of information could be determined from this, that one of these has to be an even number, since we're already using up 2 of the odd numbers. So then 2 odds being used here, meaning only 1 odd could be used here, meaning that the second even number has to be here. This has to be an even number. Yeah, because you're going to have an odd number here, an odd number here, and then either an odd number here and an odd number here. Not going to be able to have... No, I think I'm wrong. I think I could have a 6 and an 8 here, and then a 5, a 7, and a 9. And that wouldn't stop anything. Other than maybe it would eliminate a bunch of odd numbers. Well, if we found some logic around this, then we've got to find some similar logic around this. This 579 here can't be here, whatever it is, and it can't be here. And since we know this is just missing a 3 and everything else, then this one has to be here, doesn't it? Which then excludes that and excludes that and tells me that that has to be there. And then this one would have to be here. We're just making whole pinwheel, which would exclude that, making that have to be that. And so now we've just got so many exclusions that either I should add a bunch of X's here, or I should probably just save myself the frustration and remove all the exclusion marks, because everything is getting excluded quite often by everything. Okay. So, can we determine anything else from that? If this was 5, then one of these would have to be 5. And then this could be 7 or 9. If this is 7, then this would be 7. So it will potentially spiral, and by spiraling to make this a 7, then we would know a 7 is here. If this is 7, then this can't be 7, so 7 would have to be here or here. That's a small help. That's about it. So what's the next step to this? Like, it's got to be something completely different now. It's either something completely different, or I'm supposed to calculate every possibility and just see what would happen if a 9 was here. How would that affect things? Mostly, you probably want to evaluate the numbers here. See, if this was a 5, putting a 5 here probably wouldn't change too much. If this was a 9, putting a 9 here probably wouldn't change too much. And if it was a 7, you do get that extra effect, but it still doesn't really change too much. If this was a 7, then maybe that means this couldn't be a 7, which it already can't be a 7, which probably doesn't really force you down into guessing where the 7 would go. If this was a 7, then there'd be a 7 in this chain. It would eliminate all that. It would eliminate these two as being 7, and then one of these would have to be 7, either this one or that one, so that there would be at least one 7 in the box, or exactly one 7 in the box. Can we get smart hinting it yet? Nope. So hint number 3, handwritten hint number 3. Similar considerations apply for row 6, column 5, and row 5, Row 6, column 5 is here. Row 5, column 4, and 6. Yeah, we literally just did that, so we're on the right track. What's the next hint? The 1 in column 4 cannot be a 1, cannot be in 1, 2, 3 of column 4, which are 3 of the high digits, or in the 44 cage. Let's see if we can follow this. We know one of these is going to be a high digit, but why does that mean that the 1 can't be in one of these spots? What eliminates the 1 in these 3 spots? The 1 in column 4 cannot be in the row 1, 2, and 3 of column 4. Which are 3 of the high digits, which I'm not sure the logic there. And or in the 44 cage over here can't have a 1, so no 1 here, no 1 here, 1 possibly here, and then for some reason they're saying 1s cannot be in any of these. So it is in row 4, column 4. I would have guessed that's a possibility, but it does feel like you are just guessing now. So where's the logic that says 1 can absolutely not be in this column? If this number has to be 5, 7, or 9, then we know this has to be 5, 7, or 9. So yeah, that absolutely has to be that number. But is that the same situation here? Or is it more of a situation like this? Where 5, 7, or 9 are likely to be in one of those places. Because I'm thinking it's more that situation. I just don't think you get quite the same situation on this side. You can suspect it's like that, and you can mark that. In this case, is this one has to be 5, 7, and 9, and 6 and 8. It's 5 through 9. And sure would be helpful if I wasn't just mislabeling things. And this will synergize. I'm saying that if this is 5, that eliminates this from being 5, which maybe helps somewhat. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in that spot, and then 5 through 9 in that spot. This one here has to be 579. This has to be 579. We have a odd situations here where everything would fall into place nicely, and maybe that's the only actual possibility where you would just make this 9. That would eliminate 5. This would make this a 5-7 pair, and this a 5-7 pair. And then everything would be fine. Then that would make this a 6-8 pair here, which doesn't actually change it. But hint number 4 is saying that the 1 cannot be here. Why? If the 1 was in any of these spots, that doesn't seem like that's impossible. If the 1 was in one of these spots, then the 1s wouldn't be in these spots. Okay. There's a 1 combination, but you could only put 1 1 in this box. And if you put a 1 here, then the 1 could be here or here. Not following. I am definitely not following. So 54 minutes into this puzzle, I hit the speed bump that I predicted, and I think I'm just going to have to go on faith and mark this as 1. And then hopefully that I can get back on track after that point. Let's see. It says that these are 3 of the high digits. Why? What is the logic that falls down here? It says these have to be high digits. Like, if this was 5, this would get rid of 5, and then this could be 6, 7, 8. But I don't see any reason why it couldn't also be 1, 2, and 3, or 4. Okay, whatever. We just gotta keep going, so it says this is 1. Let's see if that's right. It is. So from that same concept, then this is probably 3 or 4. It's not 1 now. But how do we get to that same concept, and how do we know which it is? Similarly, 2 in row 6. Okay, we'll look at row 6 here. The 2 in row 6 is in row 6, column 4. Why does this have to be 2? Because for some reason, none of these can be 2. And the 2 here and the 2 here eliminates all the other 2s. I guess what you would look at here is that there's no possibility of a 2 here and here. So these are all out, which means the 2 would have to be here or here. And one of these has to be 5. If this is 5, one of these has to be 7 if it's 7, and one of these has to be 9 if it's 9. If this is 5, that eliminates the 5 here, and then a 7 and a 9 could be placed here. And then five would have to be placed here. Okay. I still don't get it. My brain is not following at all. Whatever, it says this is 2, so let's mark it. It's 2. Alright. By that point, then we know that's 4 by basic Sudoku. We know that's by 3 by basic Sudoku. And that helps reduce the possibilities. But almost instantaneously, my knee-jerk reaction is going to be to, once again, just look at the next hint. I guess if we are saying that these 3 have to be high numbers, or these 3 have to be high numbers, that this would be 5, 7, 9, then what are we potentially guessing here? That 4 and 8 are the other 2 possibilities? Four, 6, and 8 are the other possibilities, or 4, 6, and 8 are the other possibilities here. Nope. I'm still completely off the rails mentally, so we're just gonna have to go to the next hint. The 2 and 3 in box 6 here are a pair in row 5, column 7 and 8. Now that's going to be irritating, because isn't that exactly what I said before and then thought I was wrong about that? Yeah. 2 and 3 in box 6 are a pair in row 5, column 7 and 8. 2 and 3 in column 9 are a pair in row 3, 7, and row 7. How did we get to that logical step? guess that's the real question to ask here. How do we eliminate the 1 and 4 and 5 from this spot? Maybe we didn't. Maybe it doesn't matter because there isn't a possibility of a 2 or 3 here. It seems because this 2-3 eliminated that. I see. This 2-3 eliminates that, which means then 2-3 has to be here. I'm not 100% sure why 2's get eliminated over here, which then in this column leaves this as a 2-3. So okay. So a 2-3 pair in that spot helps. To what level? We can come over here and remove 2-3s as a possibility there. And then we don't even need to eliminate that because we can just go ahead and mark this as a 4 and 1 pair. By that same logic, this 1-4 eliminates that, making this have to be a 1-4. Okay. So that's that. And then you have to have a 1-4 pair somewhere, which could be here or here or here. Yeah, I don't think we have the same possibilities in this case. Seems like you could have a 4 here. Could be 1s all over the place. So I don't think that's going to work. And then this 1-2 going down this way does nothing really. You know, one of these has to be 2. But one of these could be 1. This 4-3 can go this way. Which means one of these has to be a 3. And then we could probably determine some more things. The 2-3 in box 6 are a pair in row 5 column 7 and 8. 2-3 in column 9 are a pair in row 3 and 7. The 1 in column 9 now can only be in one place, now that I look at it. Which then maybe doesn't change too much. And then the 4 here must be in that spot. And then the 5, 7 are in row 4, column 9, and row 5, column 9. Somehow this got turned into a 5, 7 pair. I don't see how. I can see that we can't have a 2 because of a 2, 3. 6, 8, 9. Wait, I guess you have enough overlap in the combinations on this. If this is going to be 6, 8, 9, then this could be 6 and this could be 8, 9. And then that would eliminate 6 as a possibility here. And so then a 6, 8 would have to be here. If this was going to be an 8 instead of a 6, that would eliminate 8 from being here, which could be a 6, 7. Or 4, 8. Probably is 4, 8. Actually, if we have correctly determined this has to be a 4, then that's the only possible combination. So an 8 here means an 8's not here. So this is either 4, 9, and then an 8 is here or here, which 2 would eliminate the 8. If the 9 was here, then the 9 can't be here. So the 9 would be here, which would mean this is either 4 or 8. Again, is there a reason why this couldn't be 8? 9, 8, 9, 4, which then would eliminate the 9 here, giving you a 6, 8 pair, eliminating that. So these cannot be 6s or 8s. So we've got it down to 5, 7, 9s. Five, 7. And I think 9 is wrong too, because we were doing all that math and looking at it, but we didn't, I don't think, take it to the full direction. Yeah. You put a 4 here, you're going to get 8, 9. That's going to eliminate 9. You put a 9 here, then 9 can't be here, 9 can't be here. So this also can't be 9. We've got a full on 5, 7 pair at that point. Okay, let's take that same logic. Now, we've almost gotten a pattern going here. We can also get rid of 5, 7s here and 6s, since we know this is down to just 4, 8, 9. So without it holding my hand, can we take this to the next step and possibly solve for what possible puzzles here happen? If this would be 1, that would make this 4, and then that would get rid of possibly a 4 here. So if this was 2 and then this was 4, and then this would be 3, and I don't think that would work. Yeah. Yeah. 1, 4 would make this either 2 or 3 with then a 2 here or 3 here. And then a 1 here or 2 or 3 here. I think that works. If this was 2, then this would get rid of 2, and then this would be 3, 4. would make this a 1, 2. If this was 2, 3, 4, then there would have to be a 1 here. And 1 here. There has to be a 1 here. Then there needs to be a 1 here on either side. Which means this just can't be 1. This has got to be 4. Let's test that guess. Okay. Then that takes us down a little bit into not having to speculate too much there. So if a 4 was here, then this could be 2 or 3, and this could be 2 or 3. Whatever it was, whether 2 or 3, would just take out either 2 or 3 and leave room for the other. Or leave room for a 1. If this is 1. If this is 4. I wish I had that transparency ability right about now. Yeah, if this is 4, if this is 2, then this would be 3 or 1. Whatever this is, 3 or 1 means a 2 has to be here. And then the other digit would have to be there. So that works perfectly fine. But then you could also, it could just be 1, 3, 5. A 1, 3 couldn't be here, but a 5 could be here. So I don't think we can solve any further on that combination. Let's start with this. Take out the 4, 8s, and 9s on these because we know what from this triple that is the case. Then maybe look at possible combinations. Four, 8, 9 brings your possibilities here down to more manageable numbers. This is either 1, 3, 7, or it is 2, 3, and 6. Which I think in either scenario eliminates 3s as a possibility. Let's test to see if that's true. 2. Then a 3 here, which probably then brings us to this. If the only possible combination we had determined was going to be 4, 5, 6 anyways, and we've eliminated a 4. Let's see. Well, we know 3 couldn't be a combination. I'm gonna just trust that I marked the rest of them off correctly. So there's gonna be a 4 here, which means no 4 in this column, no 4 in this column, which means there has to be a 4 at least in this column, which would eliminate any 4s over here if that was part of the problem, but it isn't. Is there something else we can figure out if we could figure out what this number is, we'd have a triple here and it would eliminate a significant number of things. If a 2 is here, the 2 would then have to be here. If a 2 is here, then the 2 could be anywhere there. That doesn't change the question, I guess, to ask. Nope, can't ask that, can I? We already know what the 2 is in this box. So there's still possibilities. 2 can't be here in any of these. And I guess we could go ahead and eliminate the 2 possibilities from that. If this is a 2-3 pair. Yeah. Would we get any other lines here? If this was a 2-3 pair on this, if this was 1, this was 2 or 3, and this was 2 or 3, then it would eliminate the 2 and the 3 here and here, leaving a 4 and 5. Which I'm tempted to guess that might be the case, but I don't think I have enough logic to get to that. Because it feels like this here, was 2 or 3, might eliminate this 2, or this 2 or 3 here might be affected by what this is if this was a 2. If this was a 2 here, then 2 would have to be here, and 2 would have to be here, and I guess that would work. We know a 2 has to be in this column, so a 2 here, then a 2 here, then a 2 here, and then a 3 here, 2 here. So let's ask the opposite questions to that. If this isn't a 2, and the 2 was here, and the 3 was here, instead, 2 eliminates 2 from being anything here, which would make this have to be 2. So 2, 2, should eliminate all of that possibilities. Which doesn't matter. If this is 2, then this could be 1, 4, 5. 1 would be the only thing that would eliminate things and make it be a 2, but if it's a 4 or 5, then this could be a 2. I think maybe there's some logic here. If this is a 2, then it would stop that from being a 2. Honestly, it feels kind of just like the only wrong move here would be to put a 2 here and a 2 here, or a 2 here and a 2 here. Which is really not even something I was considering. Alright, we'll go ahead and just look at basic Sudoku for a second. Just to hope maybe there's something that could be derived. But I think this is all going to just be based on killer solutions. Well, let's look at the 7s in particular, because there is one thing that stands out, I think, with the 7s in particular. This 7 here eliminates this from being a 7, which makes this be a 7 or this be a 7. If this is a 7, then the column here, this can't be a 7, so either that's a 7 or that's a 7. I would suspect this cannot be a 7 either, as it's the odd number out. If the 7 was over here, then there would have to be a 7 here or a 7 here, which might be a little bit messy, but it's not still guaranteed to be wrong in my mind. Right, so let's just move on to hint 6. We're just gonna have to have the puzzle hold my hand throughout the entirety of this puzzle. Either that, or we're gonna have like 20 hints. Generating. There is something we can do. Candidate line row. In box 4, 2 can only go in row 4, which removes 2 as a candidate from row 4. Column 7. What? And 2. In box 4, 2 can only go here. So 2 has to go here. These must be 2. And that somehow removes 2 from being a candidate in row 4, column 7 and 8. Oh, this is yet another one of those smart hints that's telling you something that's just not really looking at the state of the puzzle. Otherwise it totally should have skipped this, because there is no 2 being marked here. Maybe you have to red letter them and mark them in negative before it would generate a hint. Let's experiment on that. Let's go. What would happen if we put a 2 there? And then we hit back and we hit next. It doesn't regenerate. So I don't have a way of forcing it to regenerate to see if it would skip that spot. Then multiple lines, columns in box 6 and 9 and 4. No, in box 6. Here, this is box 6. No, in boxes 6 and 9. So these 2 boxes. 4 can only go in columns 7 and 8, which removes 4 as a candidate from let me see if I get this right. This one Now it's saying this one here. Okay, let me just skip over this somewhat. If these three must be a 4, then if those must be a 4, that means somewhere in this crisscross there's a 4. It means in this column there can't be a 4, in this column there can't be a 4, and then in this row there can't be a 4, and in this row there can't be a 4. Which then means this has to be a 4, and I'm wrong about that. Alright, well, let's just eliminate that from a possibility. And then this combination must be wrong, is what I'm figuring. This can't be a 4. Well, we had this determination that said this must be a 4. And we've made this assumption that 4, 5, 6 was the only possibility, and I think we've got to just restart with that. Just put everything back in except for 4. In that spot, just put everything back in that spot. Now we're generating the hints again. Yep. And this is the same smart hint. It just regenerated because I guess I changed enough things then, which arguably it shouldn't take that extra time to regenerate if I haven't actually changed anything. So yeah, again, in box 4, 2 can only go in row 4, which removes 2 as a candidate from row. Oh, so this is actually different information. Row 4, column 7 and 8. Nope, that was the same information, and it did regenerate the same thing, even though I did red letter it. So unless you have to red number it like that to not get that hint. In box 6 and 9, 4 can only go here. Which removes it from, I'm just going to select every single spot. Row 1, column 7. Row 2, column 7. Row 3, column 7. Row 1, column 8. Row 2, column 8. Row 3, column 8. All of those cannot be 4. Same would be true for this here. So before we go any further, Does that just mean a 4 has to be here? Or does that possibly mean I screwed up? We lost our 2 combination here, so we know that this has to be 137 now. So that, unless I'm wrong, which I possibly am. So we can do some cleanup on that. It also tells me that this isn't 1. Which, yeah. Why can't this be 5-9? Because this is a 5-7, which means this has to be a 7. So let's mark that as a 7 and then undo it, and I suspect that is when the smart hints reset and you have to generate again. And same hint, since this is 2, these can't be 2s. That's just going to be part of it. So then the third part of the smart hint would be overlapping killer candidates. All possible combinations at row 2, column 7 contain 137, removing them from a candidate from row 1, column 7. Oh yeah, I see why I made the mistake in marking that as a 7. I was just ignoring these 137s. So this makes us 5, 6, 9 as combinations, which 4, 8, 9 here should be also eliminating the 9, so this should be a 5, 6 combination. Okay. Whatever 5 is here, a 6 is here, whatever a 6 was here, a 5 was here, but that won't help, except for maybe in looking at these possible combinations. I'm trying to solve this myself. If a 5 is here and a 6 is here, well, 5 would eliminate that, then that could be 5 still. So yeah, I don't think that does change anything looking in that direction yet. So yeah, the 137 removes it from this spot, and also this spot, which I guess they're just assuming that there would have been a 1, a 3, or a 7 there, and also this spot. And this spot. All of these cannot be 7, apparently, although I don't know fully how that would work. I can also just go ahead and mark that as not being 7 because the 7's already established. So we know the 7 is one of these. Moving forward, I'm still not getting back on track. In box 3, 7 can only go in column 7, which moves 7 from this one here and here, and also here. Okay. maybe means we'll eventually get down to a point where this is the only place where 7 could be, which, you know what, we could have also used that logic. If this is truly a 5-7 pair and no other options are here, then these two can't be 5 either. And while we're at it, and while we've selected this, we will get rid of the -2s here and the -2s here. Make that more readable. Of the possibilities, the only thing left here would be 9, and it can't be 9 and 9. So I think something's wrong. Maybe I shouldn't eliminate the 5s yet. Just keep them. Impossible killer combination. None of the cells in the cage at row 1, column 8 can be 7. Which means the cage cannot be 5, 7, 9 or 6, 7, 8. Removing 5 and 6 as possibilities from the cells in the cage, which we've done that already. Then multiple lines, columns. In boxes 3, 9, 3 and 9, 5 can only go in columns 7 and 8, which removes 5 as, so it means now we can remove 5 in this spot and this spot and this spot, as well as this spot, and this spot, which clearly the smart hint is not lining up with the handwritten hints. Otherwise we would have already had that information eliminated. And then there's a hidden pair, 5, 7 at row 4, 9. And 5, 9 removes all other candidates from those cells, which we're already at that point. In boxes 3 and 6, 6 can only go in columns 7 and 8, which removes 6 as a candidate from row 7, row 8, row 9, row here, this here, and this here, and this here. But it doesn't remove the possibilities here. It just removes the possibility here because there happens to be 2 other possibilities here, which that feels a little awkward. And then I think that's going to loop around to tell us that there must be a 4 here. Naked pair. The 8, 9 pair at row 1, column 8, and row 9, column 8, removes 8 and 9 candidates from this point and this point. I don't think I would have seen that. So is there any chance that this could be 5? It seems almost certain that it has to be 5. But no, this is 5, 7, so it can't be 5. Could it be 9? No, the 8, 9 pair would eliminate that. So I'm gonna risk it and say this is 6. And then I'm gonna hope that the rest of this information is right. And then that's gonna maybe get me on some path. Although it may not be much of a path. Like, the ideal thought here would be that basic Sudoku would take over, and we could just have a bit of a break from the more complicated consideration. But I don't think I'm going to be so lucky. This has to be 4, and it's not 4. So my logic was wrong there, which means if these aren't 4, one of these has got to be 4. It's once again a situation here where I've just screwed up. I've put the wrong information in it, and kind of to no surprise. And see, today's in a weird situation for me because I've already live streamed today, so I was hoping to make an extra episode, but now, in retrospect, I'm saying that this was a pretty bad idea. If I was going to do this, I should have done at least a easy puzzle. Because live streaming for 4 hours, then making a Sudoku puzzle video that could be another 4 hours is just asking for trouble. And now we're back to the point where the smart hints won't help us. I think we did hint 5. The 2 and 3 in box 6 are a pair in row 5, column 7 and 8. 2 and 3 in column 9 are paired. Let's go. The 11 cage, which would be where? This one must now be 137 to allow the box 3 to be completed. 8, 9 are in row 4 and 6. Row 4, row 6, column 7, 8, 9 pair here. Putting me 4, 6 in row 4 and 6 of column 8. Okay. Resolving row 2, column 8. Okay. So this next hint should actually be helpful and make some progress. Let's see. Row 5, column 5 must be the same as row 6, column 7. How you figure? How in the world do you figure that? Why must this number here, row 5, column 5, must be the same as row 6, column 7. What is that weird spiral logic? Where does that weird spiral logic come from? And if it's true here, is it true here, and true here, and true here also, in just some weird pinwheel fashion? If this is a 5, then this could be 7 or 9, making any of these potentially 7 or 9 in these two places. If this was 7, I guess, and then this would be 5, then that's probably 9, which probably makes that 8, not 5. Let's try 8 instead, since that was one of the options. If this was 8, that changes nothing here, changes nothing here. It removes 8 from this spot. So if this was an 8-9 pair, and not 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 as a possibility, then that would make sense. 8 here would eliminate this to make it 9, which would then eliminate 9 to make this 8. So the 6 in box 5 is in row 6, column 5, which is in the same row, same as, just follow this logic here, row 6, column 5 is the same as row 5, column 1. I have no idea why, though. Where is this all coming from? I don't know how I can't just generate animosity towards this hint system, the handwritten hints in particular. I don't know how I can't just classify it as being extremely poor to the level of being aggressively cryptic, just not explaining itself in any way when it is a hint, aggressively being unhelpful, unless you already know the solutions, and unless you're thinking on the same lines, and unless you are literally the person who wrote the hint. And I can't really cut any slack at all in my criticism there, because there have been decades of people online who have made walkthroughs and strategy guides, most of the time for free for the general public, and they have done way better jobs of giving hints than this is doing. I swear, if I had a teacher and I was taking some class in a school, and he gave me instructions like this that just said, this must be this, somebody should be raising their hands and going, what do you mean? Why must that be this? In fact, why is the best way to write hints or instructions in anything. If you're writing a statement, then follow up that statement as you're writing the statement as to why, and then add the answer to that why. Then you go to the next statement of fact and then ask why, then write the reason for that why. And it really should just be statement of fact, explanation why, statement of fact, explanation why. Particularly in a digital video game, the explanations could be hidden under hyperlinks. You could hover over it, but what you can't do and maintain my respect, for lack of a better term, is just say row 5, column 5 must be the same as row 6, column 7. When I see that there is no reason for that to be the case. And then you really can't follow it up with saying that row 5, column 1 here is the same as row 6, column 5. Can I even try and guess here as to what this would be? Is this then supposed to be the same as, I mean, we'd already said it was the same as this. I mean, wait a minute, this can't even be right, can it? No, I marked the wrong thing. Maybe I'm just reading this wrong. Alright, row 5, column 5. We'll just count this off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the right spot. Is the same as row 6, column 7. 6, 7. That still makes no sense. So then 6 is in box 5 at row 6, column 5. I'm seeing a lot of these sentences, and since they just aren't getting, you really need like double spacing here. I'm misreading a lot too. So the first part of that is this is the same as this, doesn't explain why. Then it says because of that, 6 in box 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is in row 6, column 5. Just somehow the logic goes that that is 6, because 6 can't be here and be the same as that, but apparently 7 has already been eliminated for some other reason, possibly because of the 5, 7, 9 being here. If you did eliminate 5, 7, 9, then the options would just be this. So my struggle here still is just going back to that very first keystone step. Without understanding that one thing at the very beginning, you can't get back on rails. You just can't figure it out. And every time this happens on these puzzles, it's also just highlighting that some things are beyond at least my limitations of reverse engineering. Even when the puzzles are completely finished, or when parts of the puzzles are completely finished, it still just does not fit. Right. It doesn't make sense. Which is the same as row 5, column 1. Here. Yes, this is, if this is 6, then we said that was 6. Okay. And then the 8 in box 5 must be in row 5, column 5, and then row 6, column 7. You still didn't really see why this connects to this one though. If the assumption is that 5, 7, and 9 here eliminates 5, 7, and 9 here, then that would have to be 8. But then we never understood why this has to be 5, 7, and 9. Just because this could be 5, 7, or 9, it shouldn't eliminate the possibility of this being 5 and this being 7 and 9. Unless the logic is that whatever this number is, the 7 and 9 will end up here, and I don't follow that. Row 6, column 7, it's also 8. And could we just rest on our laurels now and do basic Sudoku to solve some things? No. But maybe. Maybe this is 9. If 5, 7, 9 can't be here, and can't be here, and can't be here, then this would have to be 5, 7. No. If it has to be here, then this can't be here. So 5, 7, and 9 would have to be over this gap, because it can't be here, over these 6 spots if 5, 7, 9 can't be here. So this has to be this, because it can't be this, and this has to be this, which means 5, 7, 9 also can't be any of these 6 things. But then how does it make the turn if you follow that logic? It doesn't. So then it would have to be a case, or that this digit and this digit got 2 of the numbers eliminated, and this 5, 7, 9. I'm still not following it. I'm still not seeing any way that this makes sense to me. And really, I would just like to see the step-by-step solution that Cracking the Cryptic did. And this is a relatively new app, but that is definitely the next step forward, is to have Cracking the Cryptic, I think, play this app every time he solves a puzzle, and then they would just record every action he takes and turn it into a log, and then they probably could have him type in notes into a special version of this app while he's solving the solutions too. Of course, that's not scalable if you just wanted to randomly generate thousands of Sudoku puzzles. It would be much smarter to have a smart hint system that worked and that explained itself, and maybe just tutorials would help enough. You're in a very bad position when you're like this, when you're on tilt like I am right now, also because it's just going to be what would be the minimalist of frustration normally is going to be expanded in your mind to the maximum levels. Alright, hint number 8. The 9 cage, where's the 9 cage? Here. Can't have a 6 in it. Cannot contain a 6, so it must have a 3 and 3 in column 3 is in the row 4, column 3. Okay. So that's one statement there. So that should be its own separate hint. It says this 9 cage, as far as the possibilities, can't have a 6 in it. So it's got to be 1, 3, or 2, 3, 4. If you put a 3 here, then there will be a 3 here. Either way, that's going to eliminate both 3s. If you put a 3 here, then there would have to be a 3 here, which means that is 3 by process of elimination. And if we look at the possible combinations back on this, if this was 1, 3, 5 or 2, 3, 4, we don't know. Although it's probably not 2, 3, 4. If I was to guess. Although it could be either, couldn't it? So what's the rest of this hint? Now the 2 in the boxes means that 4, 6. Oh, 2 in boxes 4 and 6. The 2 here and the 2 here means that it is not in the 9 cage also. Okay, let me see if I understand this. The 2 here in box 4, it has to be here or here. And then the 2 here in box 6, it has to be here and here. Somehow synergize to say that the 2 is not here. I have no idea how you get to that spot. I have no idea how this would help you. If a 2 is here, 2 can't be here, 2 could be here, and then 2 wouldn't be here, then 2 would be here, and then yeah, wouldn't it make more sense to just look at that? So if a 2's here, then a 2 would have to be here. Then eliminate that 2, make a 2 here, which would conflict with that 2. If a 2 is here, that eliminates that 2, puts a 2 here. So you have a 2 pressing down this way, a 2 pressing down this way, and then that would eliminate the 2's from here and here. Again. So, yes, we know that it is not 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's see. So, the next thing we would do from that is that you would have 1, 3, 5, and then this can't be 5. So we know 5 is here, which maybe eliminates this from being a 5. Okay. So if a 5 can't be here and a 5 can't be here, then 5 is here, here, or here. I don't think that helps us any further. 1, 3, 5, but potentially eliminates some combinations of numbers and possibilities. Perhaps not anywhere enough in that spot. The only place a 4, we've marked this before, would have been in this column. Let's double check to make sure that marking is correct. And then mark that as a 4. But if that was the only place it could be, that's probably not eliminating any other possibilities. If it would eliminate anything, it would be in this row. It still seems like there's plenty of options here. Unless I removed, say, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 from this as possibilities, and then somehow this was just down to 5, 7, which can't be the case. So I'm pretty sure the next hint is just going to take me down the path of its logic, which is probably not in any way connected to just trying to do simple Sudoku. Yeah. I think randomly generated simple basic Sudokus with no variant rules should be an option, even if it is just an infinite generator in this game. Just a way to do something simple, gain some stars, since they have this gated star system implemented anyways. If you're struggling and you can't actually solve a Sudoku, I'd like to be able to take a pause and go and do a different puzzle that's way easier. Yes, of course you could just brute force and guess the numbers, and you're not being penalized, thank goodness for that, and you're not being scored, thank goodness for that, but that's not going to be enough. Honestly, I think something as dumb as a clicker game might make some sense. And maybe you integrate that into a hint system where you go and do a clicking game and you're just like clicking for a while to gain up some resources for hints that you would have to earn. Yeah, I don't think I can do anything more. Let's go to hint number 9. Wow. Hint number 9 is the last hint of the entire puzzle. Do I think I am anywhere close to solving the rest of this puzzle? Not really, but if I understood the logical path that got me to this point, this pinwheel mentality, maybe I could then apply it to the remainder of these killer boxes. The 1, 2, 3, 5 quadruple in column 1 places the 8 and the 4 there, and the rest of the puzzle can now be completed. Right, well, first part of this, we have, it says there is a 1, 2, 3, 5 quadruple. Quadruple meaning 4. Everything I see here tells me that this could still be 5. This still could be 5. And you'd definitely have more than 4 if you're including this in this. There are 3 5s, and then it's all just different. we got to the 4. Did we get to the 8? Let's look at 8s. No. Eight is either here or here in this box. And then it's either here or it could be here or here in that box. What are the possible combinations here, by the way? It must include 5, 6. Let's just assume that that is the case. No, this can't be 3. I really have nothing here. Like, nothing at all going through my brain tells me how a 1, 3, 5 quadruple even exists. Let's assume that these are 5, 7, 9 and that's not part of the quadruple. Let's assume that for some reason this is supposed to be 1, 3, 5 even though there's a 5 already here, and we solved that out of order. Okay. That's 2 1, 3, 5s. At what point in this 1, 2, 3 could we have considered that to be 1, 3, 5? We couldn't. So there's just no way that there should be a 1, 3, 5 here, or here, or here. If this was 1, 3, 5, and this was 1, 3, 5, and this was 1, 3, 5, then maybe somehow you include this in the quadruple, and somehow that means something. In the end, the 1, the 3, or the 5 in any of these spots doesn't seem like it would change anything about the position of what 8 is here. If the 1 is here, then this could be 2 or 3. Let's say it's 2. Then this would have to be 8. But then let's say it's 3. Then this doesn't have to be 8. So just guess. Is that 8? I guess it is. Alright, pure insanity now. Alright. We have no idea how this is supposed to be 5, 7, 9. Maybe this can be 5. Maybe this can be 6. And then maybe this is 7. And maybe this is 9. Which then matches that 9. Which then one of these is supposed to be 5, one of these is supposed to be 7, one of these is supposed to be 9. No clue how we get further than that. This is 5 and 7. So it's supposed to be 5, 7, and 9, and instead we got 9, 6, and 5 or 7. Which that doesn't make any sense. And this was supposed to be 5, 6, 7, or 9. But it couldn't be 7. I guess there's an 8 here. And this 3, 4 pair. There really aren't that many places this can play. I guess this is 8. Guess that makes that 9. Makes that a 6, 8. Guess that makes that 4, 9. I do think this is about the worst so far as the way this puzzle unravels, because even in the way it's unraveling, I'm still not on board. I should be able to at least fall into process of elimination, basic Sudoku roles. A lot of these killer boxes are filling in by process of elimination, and then one number being removed increases the odds very highly. And I don't want to remove any coloring at the moment, because I am going to try, once we have the solution, to figure out that very first step, that very first concept. But I'm probably going to fail miserably. I've also hit a spot here. Remember, the hint says the puzzle can now be completed. So there should be a smart hint somewhere here. It says that 2 can only go in row 8 in this spot. Okay. And that's wrong. Row 8, column 5. 2 can't go here for some reason. So at least I know what to do next time if I get stuck, which there is a decent chance of a next time. Yeah, I think I am stuck again, but at least I kind of know what to do now. You look at the ones and then see where there can only be one in one row. Then you should be able to find something. Yeah, the only one can be there. And so we're done with ones now. 4s. I've mislabeled. There's clearly a mistake here. The 4 needed to be here. It says it's wrong. So, if the 4 is here, then the combination on this was wrong. And the elimination of a 4 here was wrong. So that's got to be a 4. Which makes that a 4. Yeah, completely on the wrong track for the entirety of this puzzle. And these puzzles, I guess, are just difficult enough, pretty obviously, that you're not going to get lucky. Or at least your odds of getting lucky and solving the puzzle, even though you don't fully comprehend the puzzle. really shouldn't trust that that actually is an 8. That is actually a 7, that is actually a 9, but I guess it doesn't really matter. I might as well, at this level, at this point, just highlight the mistakes. Now, I do think it probably would be a step too far to say there hasn't been some foundational puzzles we've done before this that would establish the concepts of killer Sudoku or odd numbers, which don't really play a part, and frankly I've done absolutely nothing with them. The odd variant is just another example of something that probably may have technically needed to be there, but it may have been very helpful to say solve all of the puzzles, solve the Sudoku puzzle with the killer hints first, and at the very last step use the odd hints to solve. Just give that kind of level of hint. Yeah. I really would, I think, prefer, and I guess you could make an easier version of this game for yourself if somebody made like a walkthrough that started with it halfway solved, and then you started the puzzle, typed in that halfway solved solution, then you could have an easier mode. But the game really should have that built into its own system. Okay. Where's the last 5? Here. So we have what I thought it was saying, not in hint 1. The 4 8-cell cages are missing exactly 1 digit from 1, 3, 4, and so here 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Each of these cages were missing exactly 1 digit. Is the first thing they say, just for information, which then lets you get to this 1, 2, 3, 4 possibilities in that. But I think that information may have led to something else. Then it says row 4, column 5 must appear, whatever this number is, must appear in all 4 cages. This number here has to appear in all 4 cages. And does it have to appear in all 4 cages because of the shape of the cages, or does it have to appear in all 4 cages because the numbers were 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, which are in all 4 of the cages? I don't know. In the 41 cage here, it can only go in row 1, 2, and 3, because whatever this is would have eliminated this as a possibility, also eliminated this as a possibility, and then because it has to be in that cage here, or more importantly, because it has to be in one of these 3 spots and in this box, it can't be in this cage, which when that is eliminated, these 3 are eliminated because they're in the same box as these 3, and these are eliminated because they're in the same row, then this also has to match that. I did follow that logic. And then that fell around and spun around in a pinwheel to say basically the same thing for this digit and this digit and this digit. in this digit, which would be hint 3. Then they said that the 1 in column 4 cannot be in row 1, 2, or 3, which are of the 3 high digits or in the 44 cage. Okay. So, which are 3 of the high digits? How did we get to the idea that these had to be the high digits? I don't think it has anything to do with this, per se. Well, one of these would have had to have been this. The other 2 could have been low digits. So the 1 can't be here because the 44 cage couldn't have a 1 in it, didn't have a 1 in it. So 1 couldn't be here for that reason. This would have been 5, 7, 9 as possibilities here because I feel like we had... Why couldn't this have been 3 at the beginning? Why do these have to be high digits? Why does the 1, 2, 3 have to be over here? I'm not going to agonize over this too much, but really would like to know why that's the case. Does it have something to do perhaps with this, the possibility of this being 1, 2, 3, or 4, and this being 1, 2, or 3, or 4, taking 2 of the 4 low digits out, and then this just having to be 2 more of the low digits to add to make sure that's the case? I don't see how that's guaranteed either. I think you could have a 4 here and a 9 here, and then there would have been only 3 of the 4 low digits, and then there would have been a way that the 4 could be here, and then a 7 could be here, and a 6 could be here. Is there some deeper logic here to this? If the possibilities here were 5, 6, 7, which is what I think they were, then this has to be one of these we determined. So 7 and 7. 7 then eliminates 7 from being here and here. So do these have to be low digits? Oh yeah, that's the logic to it, and that's what I needed explained to me. As long as we knew that 8 and 9 were over here, no, I still don't get it. I thought I got something there, but I don't. It seems like at any point you could have swapped this 3 with this 5. Yeah. swap this 3 with this 5, then put 5 here instead. Alright. Well, I'm not going to waste any more time trying to figure it out. Exactly what I suspected would happen happened here, in that I just have no clue. I have no clue whatsoever as to how this pinwheel concept ended in step 3 with these 3 having to be a high digit. And because I couldn't find that linchpin bit of information and logic, I unsurprisingly was never able to get on board with the puzzle, and I was never able to really confidently or logically solve anything. I just had to use hints all the way through and just trust the hints to be right to get to a point where I could do basic Sudoku solutions. And so if you're going to have a miserable failure on an extremely difficult Sudoku puzzle, then I guess the best thing you can do is just hope it doesn't take that long. 153 minutes is a long time, certainly. And if this is still staying within the limits of a factor of 10 slower than Cracking the Cryptic would have taken, then he would have solved this puzzle in 15 minutes. I don't believe that's true, though. I think what I saw in their 500,000 subscriber special, which I only watched the first 20 minutes of, was cases of them solving the easiest ones that they've very possibly already seen, very possibly game tested to death and solved to death. Yes, his videos usually do take about an hour, so 60 minutes, I'm about twice as slow, more realistically, not 10 times as slow, but I'm still far too slow. Far too slow for my own personal entertainment, and far, far too slow to make YouTube content. Now, the good news here is that we only have a few more of these super difficult ones. But I will jump over and do a night Sudoku next recording. That makes way more sense. I could definitely use the break. I should have done the night Sudoku in this episode, and then maybe even done the thermo Sudoku and just kind of catched up and finished all of these. Anyways, I guess there's nothing else to really say about this. It's just time for another break, time to just forget all your troubles, effectively all my troubles, and try and come back in better spirits next recording. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.